workshop today, leadership, and the specific topic is successful leadership in the 21st century. It's a great pleasure for me that you are here from, I think, all over the world. Fantastic, and the Next Generation Forum is also a fantastic framework for this topic, and I give this leadership topic every year at the Next Generation Forum, and I give also these topics in international universities. I have been in Vietnam and returned on Sunday this week and gave lectures in leadership at the Vietnamese German University in Saigon. And before I gave lecture in China, in Shanghai, at Tongji, Fudan, Chaitou, Saif, and I will give this lecture also in September at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland and in the USA. And I am here a teacher at the university in Frankfurt, at the university. And also my special topic and my research is about leadership, and it is a challenging topic. Leadership is an adventure. Leadership is also an art, and therefore it's a great topic and wonderful that you are here. And in my second profession, I am Chief Executive Officer of Goethe Finance Association. Goethe Finance Association is one of the greatest organizations in Europe, in the university. We are networking, we make fundraising for the university, and I have a lot of international global companies which are my customers, and I speak every day with members of the boards about future cooperation and about sponsoring for the university. So this is also leadership in practice. Then I have a lot of talks every day about this topic in companies. Our sponsor companies are, for example, the big banks, UBS, Citi. Then we have U1, BlackRock, very fantastic company, and we have also industrial companies like Bayer, like Schaeffler, or other big companies, or consulting, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, or we have tax and audit, E&Y, KPMG, and all the 3 or 4 big EY tax and audit companies are all sponsors and are all customers of mine, so I have very interesting. And in the third profession, but this is not standing here, I am a certified boxing trainer, and I have made my boxing trainer license in New York at the New York State Athletic Commission. I give every semester here boxing for the students. Be fit for your leadership career is the topic, and another topic is never quit. So I have done it in Saigon with my Vietnamese students. It was a fantastic boxing event and boxing training and workout, and we have it. If you are here, maybe on June the 1st, I have a guest lecture in my lecture Leadership, June the 1st, 4 p.m. And there will be one top-ranked officer from West Point Military Academy gives a lecture about what we can learn from military leadership into private leadership. I think it's very interesting. And the next day, because West Point is, a military academy, you can make your bachelor, PhD, and all the degrees. And on the other hand, you are a US officer if you have your degree. And they have a big physical education department. I'm very often in West Point, and they have also boxing. And every student or cadet has to learn boxing. So on Tuesday, June the 2nd, I make with the US Army and West Point a boxing workout with our students together, and I'm the coach. So if you like to, if you are here, you can attend. You are warmly invited, and so it would be my pleasure. Now, first of all, want to discuss some topics in leadership, and the first one is, or the very first, I have a question to you. Who has done everything or anything in leadership in his studies, and where are you from? Who is from which country? China or Japan or Mexico? Who is from abroad? Fantastic. And from which country? Poland? You? And the other ones, for example?
Russia.
Lomonosov?
No, they can't Russian.
Okay, Lomonosov University, I have some students in my lecture. And the other ones, from which country? Turkey. Good. Istanbul or Ankara? Ah, okay, the capital. Turkey. I have also students from Turkey in my lecture on Monday. And other ones? Where are
From Italy,
Where?
Milan.
Milan.
I mean, I still Milan, but from Sicily.
Oh, very good. I give lectures in Sicily at the University of Catania.
Oh.
I'm a professor there also. Fantastic. You know Corso Italia. Or Mensa Parola. So the other ones?
Serbia.
Pardon?
Serbia.
Ah, Serbia. Oh, it's the first time that I have some students from Serbia. Fantastic. Welcome, great welcome. So, and who is anybody here master or what? How many bachelor students? Most of you are bachelor or some master? Oh, and PhD? Okay, but maybe the next time. So, okay, fantastic. We have a fantastic mixture, and I want to give you one first idea. So, okay, that's your first class. And I want to give you this sentence, this quota, in one word. What makes a great leader? You have 1 minute time to think about it, and then you want to hear. I want to hear your answer, but in one word. What is for you making, or what is a great leader? Or what makes a great leader? Time is running. 1 minute. Discuss what is from a scientific view, what are the elements of leadership. So what makes a great leader? What makes a great leader? Charisma. Pardon? Charisma. Charisma. Okay, charisma. Yes, interesting. Charisma. Other ones? Passion. Passion. Good. Passion. Other ones? Vision. Ah, vision, yes, vision, very good. Vision, one of the most important tasks for leadership. Vision, visionary. Empathy. Empathy. Empathy, something with emotional intelligence. Yes, responsibility. Okay. Responsibility. I hope you can read it. Adaptability, yes. Adaptability, yes.
Authority.
And what else?
Authority.
Authority, yes. Formal authority or of person. personal authority. And courage. Courage, yes, courage is very important. Persistence. Yes, persistence. So, thank you. These are very good impressions and characteristics for a leader, and a lot of them are involved in some leadership approaches. And we will hear a little bit about the leadership approaches. And but one of the, for me, also one of the very most important tasks for a leader is another ability a leader has, and there is a theory. It is the path-goal theory, and path-goal theory leads the way from to a goal and a path. And there is one point in this approach which I see also from practice, what is very important for successful leadership and for leadership. It is removing what? Obstacles. Removing obstacles. The ability to remove obstacles is also one of the very important abilities, characteristics a leader will have. We will hear it a little bit later. Now, I want to give you a short definition about leadership, and leadership is a process. First of all, it is a process. Then leadership involves influence, and then leadership occurs within what? Leadership occurs within what? Yes, it occurs within a group context. Normally you have followers, subordinates, peers, or employees, and involves additional what? Very important for leadership. No, hierarchy. Hierarchy, okay, but involves another thing. Very important, you have to do it daily. I do it daily in the Goethe Finance Association. I have to do daily formulating what? Goals. Goals, very important. Goals, but formulate the goal in the right and efficient way. What is one of the most important factors for formulating a goal? Say a goal to me. A goal. You are now company chief, boss. A goal.
I will increase our profit 10% next week.
That is a goal, but it's not full. That's very important. You will hear a little bit later about goals.
Goals need to be feasible.
Feasible and reachable, but not too easy. And, very important, clearly time-bound. If you say next year could be May, June, July, 1st, 2nd, something. So, clear, precise. But we will hear some ideas about later. So, leadership involves also goal attainment. And the leaders, now we want to go to the leaders in this process, and the leaders in this process, in a modern approach, what is the ranking of the leader in his or her group context? Above, under, what do you think? Above? In former theories, there was, let me say one first. Leadership research is over 100 years old. And we have, I think, 70,000 studies about leadership in the last years. And the oldest theory is the great man theory. This is an old approach from 100 years ago. And in the great man theory, they told us that all the leadership characteristics are inborn. Now, modern approaches from the last years as another message. And the other message is that leadership behaviors, successful leadership behaviors, characteristics are learnable. That's the good message. They are learnable, and therefore in the modern approach of leadership, the leaders are not above followers. They are not above followers. The leader has, of course, powers, but in the modern side, the leader are not above in the first hand. That's one point. And the leader are not better than the followers. They have other abilities and characteristics. And their most important point is to develop the relationship between leader and follower. And there is also some theories like leader-member exchange theory, where we are talking about in-group and out-group, and there's a description in the theory and a prescription in the theory, and there is also a message to build strong relationships with all followers, in-group, out-group, so we have it later in another context. So, therefore, the definition, the first definition we want to write here for leadership, the first definition, and then we want to come to some leadership aspects which are very important. These are the power aspects of leadership. So then first the definition, leadership is a process. Leadership is a process. Leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group. A group. Individual influences a group. Influences a group of individuals. Achieving goals. But which goals? Achieving, but not bad, but there is another terminus technicus which fits better. Smart is okay. 5 smarts.
Common goals?
Common goals. That's the point. Achieving common goals. Common. Why common? Why common? And so, in this way, it is a part of smart goal setting. In which part have we this here? If you think on smart, specific, what is the next? 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 Yes? Time bound. Time bound. Yes. But there is another one. There is also another hierarchy of goal setting, not only smart, but also other ones. It is very important for the leader to achieve a goal, which is what? The goal should be what? That's important. The goal should be defined. Defined, okay. It's clear. Defined, clear, specific, smart. But there is another very important process in goal setting. Be honest. Yes? 2 points. 2 very important points.
And you have to broadcast it to your colleagues.
To what?
To broadcast it.
To broadcast? Yes. But one more.
There's a follow the vision. So
Very good. Follow the vision. All is perfect. But think very practical. Think very practically in your daily game. You are a leader, you have a daily game, and in this daily game you have employees. And you are speaking with the employee and say, please, you write 5 pages about this topic, and you have to go to the university, and maybe you have to research about so. And then, what's then? Yeah, okay, but there is another point. There's another point. Another point is
What do you think about this task? Another point is, what is your feedback? The other point is, what is your commitment? So, feedback and commitment. And then you can realize achieving common goals. Feedback, commitment, absolutely. And that's not in SMART. these are other factors. So therefore SMART is good. SMART is a bridge. It is a practical bridge for daily doing. But there are other factors which are more important than SMART. It is feedback and commitment. If you have no commitment, what is the consequence? What's the consequence? If you have no commitment, what is the consequence? What's your answer? Pardon?
I don't have an idea.
You have no idea? Has anyone an idea? Here.
No,
No one?
no achievement. No,
Yes. Yeah, please.
no motivation.
The work will be done. The work will be done, but not efficient. And not with happiness. And therefore, not good. It will be done. But you have maybe failures and other things. So motivation. And this is one of the points we want to discuss here very intensive, because motivation and leadership is absolutely strong connected. Your ability to motivate people. That's your ability. That's your ability to motivate. It's your task motivating the people. So, achieving a common goal, but you know, feedback and commitment. Now, we want to go into another idea, and there is the question of power and leadership. Power and leadership. Power, what is power? If you make a definition of power, power, what is power? Power in the sense of leadership.
I think there are two different kinds of powers. One kind of power is the legal power that you get by the organizational chart of the company.
Okay.
And the other kind of power is that you have, or that is assumed you to have by the people you lead. When they think, okay, this guy is good or this person is good at something because they achieved something or because of your social skills that you have.
Okay. But we want to structure it a little bit. We want to, very interesting, but we want to structure it. But first of all, what is power?
Is it power is the ability to control? The first thing you have to control yourself and the others.
Power is the ability to control. Yeah, very interesting. Please.
And the ability to influence people to do what you want.
Yes, influencing, affecting others, and others' beliefs, others' attitudes. That is a part of power. Is a part of influence, but in several ways. Now we want to discuss a little bit. There are some structural factors. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something. I think the power is when you have the power to make decisions, because when others have to do what you want, what you decided, so you think, and the others have to do it.
That's too easy. That is too easy. That's not a modern approach. That's too easy. So we think about here common feedback and commitment, and therefore the process, this leadership process, is not so easy. Not so easy. What you want to?
Yeah, I just want to say that there's a variety of concepts of power. I mean,
Concept power.
no, I'm saying, for instance, power in the Foucauldian sense, but I'm not sure that you guys over here in the business administration department work with this concept of power. But power is a very complex or diversely defined notion, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, but I will say leadership in general. Leadership is a discipline which is very interdisciplinary. So we are working here, I'm working here also in the neuro aspects of leadership, psychodynamic aspects of leadership, so we have medicine, neuromedicine, we are working with organizational behavior, of course, business administration, and we are working with different faculties together because the newest approaches are emotional intelligence, authentic leadership approaches, but there is a paradoxon in the authentic leadership approach, and this is a thing we are working at the moment with different faculties together. So we are also in this way, and therefore we have a social dimension. There is a social dimension of power, and there are 5 categories of power. These are the 5 bases of social power. 5 bases of social power. So, what are the 5 bases of social power? 5 bases of social power. The 5 bases of social power are divided into 2 big groups. One group is the personal power, and the other group is the position power. So we have the personal power, and we have the position power. Position power. So, what are the personal powers? The personal powers are, for example, think very practical. Personal powers, you are the leader in your company. What could be your personal power?
Maybe when you convince that person who is in a higher rank than you to show our personal power.
It is an expert power. For example, one of the personal powers are expert power. What is expert power? Expert power or personal power means that the power is derived from being seen as likable and from being seen as a person which has knowledge. This is, for example, personal power. And if you structure personal power, you will find 2 more factors, and these are referent power and expert power. Referent power and expert power. So, what is referent power? Referent power based on followers' identification and on the liking for the leader. This is a referent power. And if you say the expert power, this power is based on followers' perception of what? It's based on the followers' perception of what?
Of your abilities or of your expertise.
Of your competence.
Yeah.
Yes. Expertise, abilities, but I say competences, of your competence. These are the personal powers in your leadership situation. And then we have position powers in your leadership situation. Position power. What is the position power? Position power are, this power is derived from your rank in your organization. Position power. Then we have 3 position powers. 3 position powers. This is one, legitimate power. We have another one, is a reward power. Reward power, and we have the, which one? Reward power, and then, what is the opposite? Coercive power. Coercive. This is the coercive power. So, and okay, legitimate power associated with having status or formal job authority from your job description. Very easy, this is clear. Reward power derived from having the ability or the chance to provide rewards for good performance in the company, and then also coercive power, having the capacity to penalize or to punish and for maybe very bad performance. So these are the basis of power and the connection between leadership as your daily task and power. Now, we want to go into another important point, and therefore everybody of you takes a paper, and then the question is, we had one of the researchers of the Harvard Business School is John P. Cotter. And John P. Cotter is a famous man, and he has brought some ideas into leadership. And the idea into what he brought is he wrote and researched about a difference. And this is the difference between management and leadership. Management versus leadership. And John P. Cotter wrote a very interesting book, How Management Differs from Leadership, and this is also a book about leading change. And if you think on changes in our economy, then this has been a very fundamental work. So he has found out some findings, and now, first of all, everybody of you makes his own ideas about what is the difference between leadership and management, and you have time until 10 after 10:30, 10:40. 10:40. So, show time. What are your ideas? Let us collect some differences. And for example, what is the key idea of leadership? The key. What's your answer? What do you think? If you think on the difference between management and leadership, and then what could be key of leadership and what could be key of management?
Well, I would say the key management is more administrative tasks.
Okay.
It doesn't really need a personality, but it's
More administration.
yeah.
Okay. Admin. So, other ideas, leadership, management, then we want to structure it in some 4 factors. Okay, first.
Maybe the idea of leadership is it's like the ability to inspire people to follow you.
Inspiring. Okay. Inspiring. Inspiring. Burning. Burning.
The power phases, I think leaders all work with the personal powers, or personal power bases, and management take the position power bases, or use them.
Okay. Then we say position power, and here we say
Personal.
personal power. Okay, very interesting. Other ideas? You had something? No, you? Here? But you?
I think it's more about exercising these powers, whether it be the personal powers or the position powers. And I mean, at the end of the day, managing, as my fellow student said, that it's more about administration, and you can delegate the tasks and blah blah, and you can do it by yourself. But to exercise these powers you named is essential to influence people.
Okay, influence.
Yeah,
Influence.
to influence and exercise these powers.
Inspiring, I will make here influence. Okay? So, other ideas?
I think in management, nothing pretty important is the idea of building a framework like standards and procedures.
Ah, okay. Framework. Framework. Procedures. Regulations, requirements, standards, benchmarks. Other, please do.
Also remember that leadership includes, I guess, thinking out of the box and inspired by new ideas or first sight, strange ideas as well.
Good, very interesting. Thinking out of the box. That's very good.
Summarizing this, would you say that management is a bit more rational and leadership a bit more irrational?
Give me an example for an irrational leader.
Well,
Interesting.
I think that the leader is more like actively pushing individuals. For example,
The leader?
Yeah,
Okay.
needs empathy and needs to attend everyone individually, and this is more as the irrational thing as well. And like inspiration, burning for something. It's nothing you can explain. It's something.
But this is the leader or management? Because you said before I'm irrational and now you said rational.
Oh yeah.
What is valid?
Irrational. Leadership irrational.
Leadership irrational and management rational.
Yeah.
Okay. Other ideas?
I just come to what she said. I remember seeing a talk once talking that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And the people who say the why you do it will be the leaders, the ones who have the idea of inspire people to work toward a common goal. And the people more caring about how we're gonna do that idea, how we're gonna do it the best way possible, will be the managers.
Okay. But now you.
Maybe manager is position that is given to you. So it's a really position at among any company, corporation, and leadership. You can be a leader even if you're not a manager. Not really, but it's more, doesn't have necessarily to be. But this is more positioning and this is more way of how you are, actually, what you have in yourself. And very often toward the end they overlap and become one. But
Do you have an example for this overlapping approach? In practice,
I'm pretty sure that every has top manager of any like good successful company has to be a great leader, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to be that successful. He wouldn't be able to lead that many people to the same goal.
Okay. Other ideas? Thank you. Other ideas?
Just to that, I wouldn't agree that on that. Maybe there's a person who combines both qualities, but it's also possible if you look at management board that there are some leaders, I mean, in terms of their personality, and some managers, but at least they should be both.
Please.
Leadership is about taking the risk, ability to taking the risk, and management would be executive about this risk.
Okay, the leader is facing the risk. Facing a risk, and the manager is executive. Okay. Executive for the risk avoiding.
I don't know.
For
Maybe
what?
about those goals, set goals,
About what?
about those set goals by the leader. I don't either.
For reducing the goal, reducing the risks.
Yeah.
Because you had an example with risk. It's a good example. But the goal is then reducing or avoiding. This could be management tasks. Any other ideas?
I think we can think it as a proper working clock. And I think manager makes the timekeeping properly, but the leader makes time forward.
That's very interesting. As a watch. Okay. Very interesting. So. Very interesting. And you had some idea?
It's maybe similar what he says. Like for me, management is more in the present and leadership is more in the future.
Management present, leadership is future-oriented. Yes, and management is present. So, now, the researchers, or John B. Cotter and others, they made they had some findings in a structure, and the structure is, so if you think on leadership, they said the leader produces change and movement. The leader produces change and movement, and the manager produces order and consistency. So, change and movement, order and consistency. And therefore, we had 4 characteristics found out for the leader. 4 characteristics. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and the first characteristic is for the leader establishing a direction. Establishing direction. We had it in our collections here, establishing a direction and clarify, and that's very important for the leader's task, clarify the big picture. Clarify the big picture which you see as the leader in the organization, and not only the organization, the macroeconomic context and your microeconomic context, and then you should evaluate the relationships, and that's the leader's task, the big picture, and set strategies. So, big picture and set strategies. Big picture, set strategies in the first was establishing direction or establishing directions. That's typical leader task. Another leader task is a more personal oriented and motivational oriented task or factor, that is aligning people. Aligning people. Aligning people. Aligning people. Aligning people means that you communicate goals, that you are seeking for commitments, as we mentioned before, and that you are able building teams and building coalitions. Why coalitions? What could be the reason for building coalitions? Why do you need the ability building coalitions? If you are in a company and there are several departments, and the main question is always the budget, resources, allocation of resources. So think political. The leader should also think political. He has to build coalitions. And coalitions can strengthen your power as a leader. So, coalitions. Build teams and coalitions. Build teams means also building team spirit. How can you build team spirit? I will give you an example. But first, what is your example? Practice example. Do you have any practical example? Who is doing sport?
Soccer team.
Who is doing sport here? What sport? Football, soccer, tennis, or something? What do you? Soccer. You are playing soccer? Perfect. Any other soccer players? What are doing? Do nothing? No sport? No sport? Why? Why no sport? Sport is great. Sport makes your head free. I had done yesterday the evening sport. It makes my head free. It's great. Any other sports? Boxing? Oh, boxing? You? Oh, from where you are? I'm
Indonesia. I have mentioned I have been in Vietnam, you know. Have you heard?
That's different, but we have.
I know. But I know there is a very great interest in boxing. In Vietnam and in China. So come on June the 2nd. Come on June the 2nd. You can attend in my training. It would be my pleasure if you are here.
Yeah, I'm studying mine.
Pardon?
I'm studying mine. So.
Oh, you can come. You can look on our website.
We can talk later.
Frankfurt.org, and then you can see June the 2nd. You are very invited. So now team building. Team building is what is a team building activity, for example? What is a team building activity? It's practical. Who has done an internship? Okay, you have done an internship. Did they make team building activities?
Sometimes.
Yeah, okay, sometimes a little bit. Which one? Yes, okay, this could be a good place, or having a beer after work or something. This could be a very easy team building activity, but there are more complex team building activities, making an event together or something. And pardon?
Once I participated in a martial art challenge.
Yes, for example, yes. Very interesting. Something like that. So you have to be creative as a leader to create ideas for team building activities. This is also a leadership task, to create ideas for team building, because team cohesion, team coherence, your spirit in your team, that's the basis of your successful work. If you are coming in the morning in your office and you have your team and nobody is laughing and nobody has a good mind, that's a big problem for your efficiency in your organization. Please?
We had, for example, our company, we had a competition, where there were all the different departments participated, and then they had step counters, and then it was about, I don't know, the department that first went to Berlin. They won, and this was really working well, because it was on one side it was good for the health, and on the other side it was really team building, because you got together, you were like motivating each other, like, oh my god, come on, 2 more steps.
Yes, and you see the other in another situation. You see the other in a more informal situation, and so the other are opening. It is more authentic. So that's a very interesting. This is a very interesting event. What she has told us here, and so there are other events. So therefore, building teams and building coalitions is a very important task, aligning people. Another one is motivating and inspiring. Motivating and inspiring. Yeah. Motivating and inspiring. Motivating, inspiring. So what are the tasks if you think to motivate and to inspire? That means inspire the people, energize the people in your daily work. Empower your subordinates. Why is this so important? Empower your subordinates. You should keep them in the game. You should develop them for higher tasks. Why? Why is this so important? This is your mentoring task as a leader. Empower the people. Why is this so important? Make them fit for greater tasks. Yes, but there is another reason. There's another very practical reason. Think on practical reasons if you are thinking on leadership.
When you develop all your own people to do better jobs, you get better jobs done with your group, and so you yourself get promoted too.
Yes, yes. And you have a more reduced retention rate. The retention rate is not so high. and the retention rate, if that is not so high, it is for your cost situation better. If you are hiring people from outside permanently, then it's very expensive. But if you have the people inside in your company and they are satisfied, then they will do a good work, a good motivation. And what else? What else is for me, the key point? The key point for me is another point. If I think on empowering people.
Then we have colleagues in different stages in this company, and so you can connect with them.
Yes, networking, okay, absolutely.
They will do their work like passionate.
Yes, more passionate, yes, absolutely. But there's another point, a very important point.
I think it's also about building future leaders who also take
future leaders, yes, absolutely. Future leaders is a very important task because if you think on the coast and all the things, please.
Yeah, maybe it's also about trust, because at one point you can't do every work by yourself, and so you have to trust your people that they do it for you, and yeah.
Yes, trusting, liking, trusting. But there is another point. If you think on your company, and what is for your company so important in the market? Clients, of course, but what else? Yes, market share. All is very, but there is another point, maybe, which is the valid basis point. Very good, all?
Skilled labor.
Skilled?
Skilled labor force.
Oh, all right, it's good. Growth.
Your employees are mostly your valuable assets, and if you improve them, your company will grow.
And if they are satisfied and if they are high motivated, these people are your best ambassadors outside. You can develop your ambassadors. Ambassadors means if they are going outside and speaking about your products or your company or your team or your spirit, they will speak positively. And that's the best factor, it's the best advertisement you can have is people are speaking about you positively. So, and therefore, I will bring you some idea from practice, and therefore, why is alumni work in the university so important? It's important for the ranking of the university, it is a factor. It's important for excellence in the university, it's a factor which is evaluated. And it is important for what? Reputation and for sponsoring. Sponsoring for more chairs, more educational infrastructure. So, if you have students which are talking good about the university, if they have their degrees, they go into work, and then maybe they connect you. I have this very often that some of my students are finished with their examination, then they are members of Goethe Finance Association, it's an alumni organization, and then some months later, or maybe 2 years later, I receive a telephone call. Hey, Mr. Trummer, I have an idea, there is an executive, he wants to speak with you about cooperation. That's the best advertisement you can have. And this was, for example, the case Bayer AG. Second greatest chemical industrial company in the world. Is customer from me, from the Goethe Finance Association. In this way, in this ambassador way. So, therefore, alumni work is a very important work, and therefore all the US universities, I have graduated in Harvard, all the US universities, the Ivy League, have big budgets from their formerly alumni. There are maybe leaders of big companies, and they give millions of dollars. If you see the balance sheet of Harvard, you would have big eyes. I have saw it. It's really impressive. You don't have it here in this amount. Absolutely not. So, but we are working on it, and it will be the future. So, therefore, ambassadors are the most important factor. Building, developing ambassadors are a very important factor in your daily work, empowering your subordinates as a leader. And then there is one other point for leadership is satisfying unmet needs. You have to evaluate where are motivational gaps, and you have to try, I recommend you fulfill these gaps. So these are leadership tasks, produce change and movement. And on the other hand, we have the management task, produce order and consistency. So we have also 3 factors or characteristics for the management, and it is planning and budgeting. Planning and budgeting. Planning and budgeting, we have discussed it. Planning and budgeting means establishing agendas, set timetables, and allocate resources. This is planning and budgeting. The second big bundle of management tasks is organizing and staffing. Organizing and staffing. Organizing and staffing means provide structures, organizational structures, provide, for example, job descriptions, provide job placements, job enrichments, job enlargements, all these HR tools we have, and establish rules and procedures in your company. That's typical management task. And the third factor is the controlling part, controlling and problem solving. From controlling and problem solving, that means that you can develop incentives. Incentives are also interesting for the team spirit and generate creative solutions. Creative solutions in which framework? If you have conflicts in your team, think practically. Then one of your tasks is also, as the manager, solving problems, for example, team conflicts. Conflicts with difficult people, for example. This is also a very important topic in research. Leading of difficult people. And the last one is take corrective actions. That means evaluation, feedback after 1 year or so, or after you have hired new people, then after 6 months or so, they receive a feedback, a go or a no, and then you have motivation part. So these are in the basic findings, the differences between leadership and management. Now, we want to go into another very important topic for the leader. How can I motivate people? Motivation. And therefore, motivation of people as an important step to be also successful in your leadership situation. And therefore there is one question, which motivational strategies and tools can you imagine? 10 minutes. Everybody.
Before the presentation, I think that the aspect that was not fast guy among equals.
A fast
Among equals.
first guy.
While with management, it's like a kind of pyramid structure. I never say I am your leader. I am your leader. I am your manager. But I never say I am your leader.
No, you should not say this.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah,
It doesn't exist being a leader. A leader is someone who leads. A manager is I see on a pyramid structure.
The leader is the top executive, for example. And it can be in some parts also a manager. So you have a mixed structure. If you see this is not then absolutely fixed fields, so it can overlap sometimes. For example, if you are doing as a top executive, you are working also and you're on your laptop or on your monitor in the company. You are working and maybe you are developing some goals you are giving to your sub-leaders. And these sub-leaders could be the production manager, the sales manager.
Here you mentioned again the sub. So there are different levels.
Yes, there is.
When you are just my leader, there is just one leader. I don't think that, it's kind of
what is your question? What is your
No, I just want to learn the aspect that when I think about management, I think about pyramid. And when I think about leadership, I just think first among equals. So just a guy leading the team. We management always mention the fact that there are some leaders, as you say. So this aspect is
But if you think on a pyramid, then you think on an organizational pyramid. So in this organizational pyramid can be top executives or member of the boards, that is a top executive leader, and there are maybe asset managers, corporate finance managers, different managers, and maybe they are sitting together and they are looking very even together, and there is maybe one or two persons of the member of the board which can make the final decision. But they are working all together in overlapping situations.
Because as you said before, management has a structure and framework to respect to the leadership. That's why you see the pyramid, because you see the CEO, you see the chiefs, the managing directors, the manager, and so on. Something that when I think about leadership, I just think about one and other people.
Yes.
And I can just imagine a team with two leaders. It's kind of unbalanced. Because
oh yes, you can have two leaders. You have in events, for example. You have a leading team, for example. This is absolutely possible because they have different departments. They are leading two persons, and this person has maybe investment banking or the investment bank, and the other one leads maybe wealth management or corporate finance. And there is between firewall, so that's absolutely practice. Absolutely practice. And you have one really big leader of the supervisory board. These are the boss of the members of the board. Then you have maybe less, but also there are, in a big company, there are a lot of persons in the supervisory boards from inside and outside. So it is overlapping.
Again, you say one leading team, but you say one.
Yes?
Because there should be just one direction.
A leader. But it could be in practice also a team where two leaders or three leaders having different departments. That's practice. But this here is the approach to explain what is leading. But in practice, it could be in different forms. Okay? So, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
about motivation, your strategies. How can you motivate your employees or staff?
I think motivation really depends on the culture of the company or the country. Because for some cultures it is maybe important to have more money, and for other cultures it's more interesting to have good spirit in company and good atmosphere, like in Google, for example.
You have been in Google?
Yeah, I haven't been, but I have read.
Okay, so, then it is atmosphere and very interesting culture. Good. Other ideas?
Acknowledgement. So somebody does something right, not only tell them that they did something right, but the team knows that he did something right. So, yeah.
Do you mean ethical or
no, I mean
ethical behavior, that something is right or wrong? Or?
No, I was meaning like rewarding good behavior and now money.
Appreciation.
Appreciation.
Okay, good. So you?
Inspired goals.
Inspired goals?
Inspiring goals.
Inspiring. But inspiring is a consequence. And I want to know what are the tools, what is the way, practical. That's the question. But very interesting. Inspiring is the result.
Then if he sets an inspiring goal, then motivate people to use that goal.
Yes, but there are other practical, operative factors we want to discuss for daily practice. But it's very interesting, your idea, absolutely.
And maybe give a perspective.
Perspective. Yes, perspective. Then we want to, at the end, be structured. There are some structure ideas.
I think it's also important to share same values and
yes,
same interests, for example, but I would put it more broader into the notion of same values.
Okay, very same values, so or common values.
Or common values, or similar values.
Yes, similar, same values, yes, very good. First you.
Yeah, it's also about handing over responsibility and use of freedom towards the employees.
Yes, use of freedom. Hello? Use of freedom. Maybe delegation.
Yeah.
You mean leadership behaviors, coaching, supporting, directing, delegating. Okay, very interesting.
Reward their work.
Huh?
Reward their work.
Yes, rewarding. Okay. Rewarding. So, any other ideas? Okay, then, please.
Maybe it's also about involving people, that everyone feels needed and is
Yes,
part of the team.
participation. A participative leadership behavior, participation. So, participation. Now, first of all, we want to go, please.
Maybe very easy tool for motivation is a reward. To reward one.
Reward. We have it here. Reward. Very good. Rewarding, we have it here. Any other additional contribution, remark, idea?
We can just we don't have just motivation speech. You can talk to the people and motivate them, like you can do it like in sport.
Motivational speech, that's also a good idea. Motivational speech, yes. Motivational speech, very good, yes. So, first of all, we want to go into a more theoretical approach. There is a theory, it is a theory called expectancy theory. The researcher has been through, and the researcher structured motivation in 3 factors in this theory, and one factor is valence. Valence is one factor. Valence is the value of the perceived outcome. Is the value of the perceived outcome. The value of the perceived outcome. There's another
another point, it is called in this finding, in this theory, instrumentality. Instrumentality, and we will later discuss instruments for motivation in your leadership situation. Instrumentality, that is the belief from the subordinate, the belief that certain action results in desired outcomes. This is instrumentality. Action, desired outcomes. Instrumentality. And the third one is expectancy. Expectancy. So, expectancy. And expectancy is the probability to achieve or being able to achieve a given common goal. That is expectancy. And therefore, expectancy, probability of being, probability being able, achieving the goal, the given, discussed, committed goal. And therefore, the equation is the motivational potential. What's motivational potential? The motivational potential is valence and expectancy. Expectancy. So you have some, now you have some factors which are influencing motivational strategies. Motivational strategies, and the individuals in this approach choose action with highest motivational potential. So the question to you as a leader is, in which tabs you are going in to motivate that your subordinates are bringing the most motivational potential in the given task or in the given goal, saying. So, and that's a question which is very, very a central concern in organizational research. Motivation. Now, we want to go into practical ideas. There are two great factors or bundles of factors where you can tap in as a leader. And this is on one hand, are using the external factors to motivate. Using the external factors for motivation. And the external, what could be external factors, or which external factors could you imagine? Because you have to think, to realize your vision as a leader in an organization, the leaders need to ensure what? Leaders need to ensure what? If they want realizing their vision, what has the leaders to ensure? You? Yes?
achievement of goals.
Yes, the achievement of the goals, but what else? What else? Not only the achievement of the goals. What else? What else? That's the point. Any first
People trust them.
Yes, trusting is all okay. All okay.
Followers have to share your vision.
Vision,
Employee satisfaction.
satisfaction. So yes, all is okay, but there is one key point. To realize your vision, the leader needs to ensure that people are constantly aligned throughout what can be a long process. And in this process, and keeping the people constantly in this process, that means that you have to move the people to a path of motivation. And this path of motivation could be external, could involve external factors or include external factors, and on the other hand, what?
Internal factors.
Intrinsic factors. So, intrinsic factors. Now we want to discuss tools and opportunities to motivate with external factors. And then at the end we want to have the question, we want to answer the question, what could be the better way? That is your task, and that's your task, and that will be also for you important results, outcome in your leadership activities. Now use external factors to motivate. Which external factors can we use? Money. Money. Promotions, yes. Promotions. What else?
Like for things like childcare.
Pardon? Childcare. Childcare. Kindergarten.
Visionary goals.
Visionary goals.
Yeah.
Visionary goals is no, but visionary goals, external factors. We are in external factors. Visionary goals could be more intrinsic. Visionary goals could be more intrinsic. Okay?
Is there a company car in?
Yes, company car, but this is maybe money, but company cars is okay. Company cars, if you have a big Mercedes or a small Fiat 500, could be different.
Vacations or
Vacation.
paid leaves. For example, if the person is sick. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yes, yes. If they have money, then okay. Other external factors, there are a lot of other external factors.
Better office.
Better, okay. Office, okay. Better office environment or infrastructure.
Location of the company.
Pardon?
Location of the company.
Yes, the location of the company, but the location of the company is given. Okay, but
And they have more.
location of the company, okay. Location of company.
Status, like employee of the month.
Okay, status, these are, yes, status is very, also external. Status. So, now we have a lot of external factors, company policies and benefits. In general, company policies and benefits, then the working conditions could be external factors, status, then job security could also be external factor, job security, and salary and other forms of compensation. These are all external factors. What do you think? If you think on external factors, do you have in the long run a positive effect, or is it only in a short run? Or what do you think? If you are the leader and you are thinking about motivation with external factors, what could be your answer, or what could be your problem?
I think that in the long run it's not so efficient as any intrinsic factors because, as you said early on, there are those gaps that need to be identified, the gaps of needs, or like different employees have individual needs, and if they are not fulfilled, I mean, it can be basic needs like attention or I don't know, something like that.
Okay, so you think it is a short time effect, but there is another reason.
I think it's also short time because short time effect because mostly like it's things you get money, you get reward, you just easily get to used to the things, and in some certain period of time you just start motivating.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Well, I agree with the short term.
Okay.
But also, I don't remember what kind of research it was, but there was this research that at some point if an employee reaches a certain amount of salary, that it doesn't matter anymore how much the employee will receive, because then it just doesn't meet anymore the self-fulfillment.
Okay. So, but another factor could be that if you are only this.
Yeah, I want to say that I think you need the external factors, but then maybe the employee is not really bound to the company, and if another company offers more external factors, they just change, and yeah, just make things.
That's very important point, and you?
I would probably just add that they're not as sustainable and like internal factors. Like once you trigger motivation on an internal base, it's probably there for the longer run because that's something that you have in yourself. And this, like she said, also money at a certain point will not be enough. You have to get more, or maybe you won't be able to provide all this all the time to keep motivating them. And
okay. One more.
And I just want to say that I think human beings are more complex than Pavlov's dogs, I would say. It's not that easy, this reward and punishment concept. Of course it can work maybe, but as the others said, in the long run it's really difficult to sustain a system of punishment and reward with external factors.
Okay, yes, very interesting. But one of the main reasons is that if you only motivate with external factors, maybe you will have a retention rate, and it is very expensive. It's absolutely very expensive. Every time more, and the motivation will not be higher, as she said, and it's only expensive. It's only expensive, and you have every day the probability for the retention. So external factor is one factor, but now we want to go to the intrinsic factors. And I think intrinsic factors are more motivating in our approaches, in our time. So what could be the intrinsic factors? This is an alternative to more sustainable way to motivate. What could be intrinsic factors?
To give your employees a chance to develop themselves, either on a company level or like our company topics, but also on other topics. For example, giving them the opportunity to do extra courses.
Okay, a sense of responsibility. A sense of responsibility and ways to develop your own skills and abilities. If you are, for example, what could be an example of daily practice from a company? There are some examples we can see in companies for this sense of personal education development. What could be an example? Think practical.
Maybe you have heard from consulting companies, you have heard the expression work-life balance. What is the meaning of work-life balance in the sense of intrinsic motivation?
If you go so it's not a hard question.
Yes? But think the next step. The next step, and a lot of companies do this. Think practically.
You are given the freedom to choose how to manage your personal work-life balance. So like that you have certain tasks and you need to fulfill it until, I don't know, sometimes they are given the freedom to fulfill the task whenever you feel like you give it all the time.
I will give you an example. There are some consulting companies, maybe you have heard the names, Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey. What are they doing? They are sending very good consultants to the university for maybe half a year or so, that they can begin writing a dissertation, for example. So we have here in Goethe University, we have a lot of external people from consulting companies which are sitting here for some month and working on their research project. And the companies give them the freedom and pay it so that they have a balance for personal education, but this personal education brings a lot of gain for the company too. So you have two winners. It's a win-win situation, and this is the work-life balance in terms of motivating together company and employee. And this works very good, and a lot of students which want to work in consulting companies asking for this opportunity. And consulting companies have to offer it, and they do. And we have this here since years in our department.
I have questions because I said these aspects, but couldn't they also be external factors? Because every other company could offer that as well, and also
yes, if other companies want to offer it, but it is working as an intrinsic motivation, because the people knows they can develop their personal education. So this is, I think, an intrinsic part. And on the other hand, they have later, if they are coming back to their company, maybe another hierarchy, another form of responsibility, more responsibilities, and maybe they are coming into a new career path. So this is for me an intrinsic motivational factor. So this is, for example, an intrinsic factor, the achievement on the job. You can have more achievements later if you have made this educational experience. And for example, we have also topics, practical topics, which the university is interested and the company is interested in research and practical findings of 4 practical problems, and therefore you have an opportunity as an employee to bring more, fostering your career and more achievements in your job, and at the end a sense of more responsibility. This is one way. There could be other ways, but this is one way. Do you know other ideas for intrinsic motivation? Other ideas? What could be else?
Participation, like that the employee thinks that his opinion is heard and that he can work together.
The work
context, the work context itself. The work context itself, for example, decision making, that people are brought into decision making procedures, and there is a theory, this is a very new theory from 2015, it's the blue ocean leadership strategy. Blue ocean leadership. There is a red ocean marketing strategy, maybe you have heard of red ocean marketing. Anybody has heard of red ocean? And there is another one, it's blue ocean. This is the blue ocean leadership strategy. And there is one of the questions, how are the structures from leading, decision making and buying in your employees? Leading as a service. It's a totally new approach how you can think about leadership. And therefore, decision making and bringing the people into decision making, let them participate in your ideas and praise them. Praise them for good ideas. This is also an important factor for intrinsic motivation, and this works. This works, it makes high motivation, and it is a long-lasting factor and long-lasting tool.
Giving them a sense of community, that telling them that you are sitting in the same boat and sailing towards the boat, and where they agree to team building things like breakfast or trip to some place or something like that.
Incentives.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so please.
I think also feedback is a very important factor.
Feedback, yes, feedback. That is a part of the work context. It is also feedback, asking for feedback, asking for ideas, asking for problems in the task. So the employee is more involved in your decision-making situation. And also, what we have discussed before, the opportunity of growth through learning. So the project McKinsey and all these opportunity for growth. For growth through learning. Through learning. So, and therefore, some researchers has found out that intrinsic motivational strategies will be more sustainable, long-lasting, and they could be maybe cheaper. And it is a support for the team building and for team spirit and for motivation in the work. Questions? Do you have any questions to the motivational part? Motivation and leadership. So, then, we want to go to another point. Leadership styles. As I mentioned before, I have sat together in the Harvard Business School, and we had a colloquium over several weeks about the question with the top executives from different industries, bank and others, and from academic teachers in the Harvard Business School. And we sat together, and one of a question has been finding out which general valid leadership styles exist in modern
leadership situation? This was the question for us, and we have discussed it, and we had some results, some answers, which leadership styles, a classification of valid leadership styles, modern leadership styles in our times, 21st century. So, then, what do you think could be a valid leadership style? There is a classification we have found out in these meetings. And what do you think is a valid leadership style in our times? Who has heard from you leadership in the university? Who has visited or attended the leadership course in the university? Only you? You? Okay. 5, 6 people. You have heard some approaches, but there are some valid leadership styles which are not in the approaches, which are part of them, but valid. So, what do you think? What could be leadership style? And then, if you have an idea, say this in one sentence. Very practical. There is one leadership style we have found out. It is leadership styles. So, one leadership, please.
I think there is situational leadership where you conduct several styles for several employees.
Situational leadership is this. You know this approach?
I know the metrics.
Yes. What is the situational approach? You mentioned situational approach. This is an approach from the leadership theory.
Yeah, where I say I have, for example, an expert, but he's not really motivated. I'm like a motivator. This is my style.
Yes.
I approach it. Yeah.
In this approach, you have mentioned there is one X additional. If you remember, it was the level of development of your followers.
Okay.
You remember this was the approach from Blanchard.
Okay.
So situational approach, and then you have this curve. It's like Gauss.
Yeah.
And you have, but very important is this additional X. And this additional X was the level of development of your subordinates. Low, high. So this was this approach. But we are looking for more general idea. And the general idea, a general leadership style, is the coercive leadership style. The coercive leadership style. What is the coercive leadership style? This is a leadership style which can be brought into one sentence, and then we want to discuss in which situation this leadership style could be efficient. One sentence. What do you think? One sentence. What could be coercive? Coercive. The leadership style, the coercive leadership style is a leadership style which you can bring in one sentence. Do what I say. Do what I say immediately. Do what I say immediately. This is an immediately demand for your compliance.
But in which special situation is this style useful? This is the question. What do you think? What do you think?
Military?
Military? Oh, military? Why military?
Well, tell them, I don't know, when they walk, for example, in a dangerous situation, then someone decides everyone's acting like this, because it's like a really strong hierarchy.
Okay, very interesting. But in military, I'm very often in the West Point, and I have been with, there is a very interesting institute in West Point. This is a Strategic Leadership Institute. And this Leadership Institute is researching about leadership in military and social and other contexts. And there has been also meetings with professors from these institutes and officers. And there one thing was very interesting for me. In the military, I think what I have heard and what I have seen, the part of do what I say is reducing. And the part of convincing how we do something, why should we do something, what are the reasons, can we discuss, can I convince the lieutenant and the platoon leader is speaking with his people about the reason, why not, what is the alternative, and all these things, so that I have learned, or I have seen, that there is another way, also another way, maybe in the combat situations a little bit different, but there is another way in general for leading, and therefore it would be very interesting to hear what the gentleman says in the guest lecture on June the 1st. But I think there's a little bit changing. So not only coercive in military, it's not only this example. There's another special situation where coercive leadership style could be working. What do you think? It is especially useful in what? If you think on your company situation.
Yeah, in a situation where the company is in danger, for example, airline company faces an airplane crash. Yeah.
It could be, yes, very interesting. It is especially useful in turnaround situations. In turnaround situations, in a crisis, what you have mentioned, in a crisis and with problems in your teams, for example. So these could be our environment. On the other hand, and you have as a leader, your task is also, I recommend you to balance your leadership style, balancing. Coercive, but you think on the other side of coercive, and the other side of coercive could be what? Pardon? Yes, but, okay, convincing, but the other side of coercive, of the do what I say style in a turnaround situation or in a crisis or in a difficult team situation, what could be the other side if you are working in coercive style, that you have to think on the other side? Anybody?
The other side, maybe do what you think is right.
Pardon?
Do what you think is right.
Yes, the other side could be you have to think on the motivational situation. If you are working only with coercive, then motivation could be reduced. It can be against zero. It can be very strong reduced. So therefore, the recommendation is looking on the situation, and then you have to balance your coercive leadership style. Leadership is also, in this sense, an art. And so, we want to go to another general valid leadership style. What could be another one? Another general valid leadership style is what? Demanding. Okay, demanding it is maybe another word.
Cooperative?
Let's do together.
What?
Let's do together.
Let's do together. How do you call it in one word? Let's do together. Very interesting. But I think on another one, authoritative. The authoritative leadership style. What does this leadership style mobilize? The style mobilizes what? That's very important for you as a leader. It's better to do like that.
Do like me.
Do like me? What's better to say? Better to do what I say. The style, the authoritative leadership style, mobilizes people in a direction of your vision. Mobilizes people towards a vision. And later we want to discuss what is a vision. And what are the structures of a vision. And what is the way to communicate a vision successful in your company and outside. But this after break. So, authoritative. This style mobilizes people in the direction of a vision. It provides an overarching goal. It provides an overarching goal, but gives the people the freedom to choose what? To choose what? Give the people freedom to choose what? The goals on their own way. I will give you an example. Everybody of you maybe, or some of you maybe know SAP. You know SAP? Has anybody worked in SAP? What was your?
I work in talent leadership center.
In SAP, in Waldorf.
Yeah.
And what was your idea, or what was your feeling of the atmosphere?
At the beginning, it was like, oh, wow, it's so great. People are so close together, lunches together, coffee corners, manual time sending the letter, like, how are you, welcome to our team. And yeah, you feel like you are it's like a sitting, it's like a separate work.
Okay, but you have the feeling that you can have you have freedom to do your work.
In this case, then after a certain time, like after 3-4 months, you feel you are really, really small part of something huge and you don't have any real responsibility. People, they need you.
Okay, but if you think of the software developers, have you worked with the software developers at SAP? Okay, but the software developers, they have the freedom to make the work in their time they want to. They are working in late in the night, and so this is, for example, also a leadership style where the people working in the direction of this company vision, but they have the freedom to reaching their goals, difficult goals, on a way which they can define. I think, as I know in SAP, for the software engineers and for these people, they have not only the time from 9 in the morning until 5.
Everyone, you don't have the working time. You can
Yes.
work whatever you like. You're working in the night because you have a lot of partners in the United States. And it doesn't matter when you work.
Yes.
You can work from home, from coffee corner.
Yes.
That doesn't matter.
That's the style, for example, in this company. There are other styles maybe in other companies which where you cannot realize this working atmosphere. Authoritative leadership style. What could be another one? Authoritative. 1, 2, 3. What could be another valid and basic leadership style? What do you think? Coercive, authoritative. The next one, pardon? Liberal? You have an idea?
I have to say.
Same. Other one?
I don't know how you could call it, but maybe what they try to do in startups at an early stage, where they're
Okay.
all like friends and no real leader.
Mm-hmm. How do you call it?
Egalitarian.
Pardon?
Egalitarian.
Okay. Affiliative. There is one style. Affiliative. This is another style. Affiliative. Affiliative. What is the affiliative leadership style? Affiliative leadership style. In one sentence. One sentence. Affiliative. And then you want to discuss where it is useful. Affiliative. This style you can call people first. People first style. People first. What is the consequence? What could be the consequence of this leadership style in your situation?
Maybe that they're made like failures and you have to correct everything. You let them make their own stuff and so on.
You mean laissez-faire?
Yeah. Or, yeah, no, I mean, like, that you have to control everything.
Okay.
So you have to check.
Affiliative?
Yeah.
Now, okay. Other ideas? Other ideas?
Maybe, like, because people come first, poor performances of followers or the people that we're leading will be tolerate or ignore or not judge as harshly just because we have some kind of sympathy or
But what is the result of a leadership style if you are an affiliative person? What is the result? Or what is the goal of this leadership style? What do you think?
I think it would be people who are perhaps self-controlled, who are more creative. I mean, if I would have a research lab, I would never have the idea to make a cursive leadership style, but perhaps an affiliated one.
And what do you want to create? What do you want to create with this leadership style, and why do you want to create? This is the question. Very practical. Pardon? Harmony, yes. Cohesion. Coalition?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Harmony. And the other idea?
Maybe they are a part of the company.
Yes, a part.
I like the part.
Yeah, intrinsic. If you are thinking on our intrinsic motivation discussion, please.
Innovation?
Yeah, it could be the empowerment for innovation. So, affiliate is the people first style, and the people first style, you can create emotional bonds. Emotional bonds in your team, and this could be very helpful if team coherence is necessary in your teams, and it is very important if you have felt that in your team the morale is reducing. So to bring maybe a turnaround in your team cohesion and in your team moral situation. So affiliation is a style which is, in the sense of emotional intelligence leadership styles, very interesting part of me. But you see, these are only 3, but we have more. But you see, these styles can be mixed. And the situation or your leadership or the art of leading means, for example, the flexibility of you mixing leadership styles and adapting these styles to specific situations. But not only in the way of situational approach, because in this way you have 4 styles, if you remember. Directive, supportive, coaching, and delegation. This has been the 4 styles in this, but these are very small. So you can also adapt these styles and mix it with other styles. And key in leadership is, for me, that you are flexible in your leadership behavior. There are some theories, for example, the contingency theory. Anybody has heard from it? Fiedler, contingency theory. What is the key message of Fiedler's contingency theory? But it's very important here. The key message of Fiedler's contingency theory is that if you have a mismatch between leader and situation, what is the consequence? Not the consequence, I can develop the leader, and the leader should be flexible. No, the consequence is fire the leader. This is the contingency theory message. It's a hard message. And this message is that you have to learn flexibility in your leadership behavior. And these are only 3. We have another one. What another one? Another one, another leadership style. Valid, general. These are valid, general. What is the next one? Number 4. The next one is a democratic leadership style. Democratic leadership style. What is democratic? What is the democratic leadership style? What does this leadership style create?
We create participation. You as a leader are the only one responsible for making the final decision.
Very good. It builds consensus, and that's very important, participation. Participation. You have heard about participative leadership style. And participation is bringing the people into your decision-making situation and asking and listening. Listening is a very important ability for the leader, to listen to your people. Listening. Democratic leadership style. In which situation is this leadership style important? You have always the question, in which situation am I? What are the needs? What are the special problems? And then you can decide if you are flexible enough, and it is important to be successful as a leader, that you are flexible enough. You will see it later in the emotional intelligence theory. We will do it today in the afternoon. It's a very fantastic leadership approach, in my opinion. I love it, I like it. Yes? Democratic.
During my research now, while bringing that product to the market?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is most appropriate. It is most appropriate when the organizational flexibility is needed and a sense of individual responsibility is needed. For example, in university research tasks. This could be the context for democratic leadership style, because there are a lot of experts together and they have discussions, and therefore democratic idea finding and opinion finding and listening should be more efficient. Or if you are working with interdisciplinary research teams, then democratic leadership style should be fit better. If you are in such teams, maybe coercive, I think it's not a way to be successful, but maybe also affiliative and in combination with democratic. But you should evaluate your leadership situation. You evaluate in this approach, it's a very interesting approach, you evaluate the development of your followers, education and commitment, or competence and commitment. And here you are evaluating your leadership situation in a big picture. Here is the big picture, and here is, if you want, a microeconomic operative part. And here you have to mix it together. Because parts of this could be working in this. So leadership is a very integrative doing. Integration. Integration of behaviors, integration of tools, and your flexibility is recommended and necessary, required. Democratic. But what could be the problem with democratic? What is the problem of the democratic leadership style?
Maybe if you have to bring some urgent decision or something, you would not always have time to see what other people think count and see what is consensus on any answer or question that it is. So it wouldn't be good for like urgent decisions, wouldn't be good for
Okay, urgent decisions, yes, very interesting. You, please?
Yeah, maybe also if you want to focus on innovation, and if then they have to decide democratically the innovation, then maybe it's too slow, the process.
Yes, it's also very interesting. But there's another, think on your employees. You had something?
Say like it takes time more process.
Takes time more process, okay, please.
I have to risk that if I have diverging opinions that I have a break in my team.
Yes, it's also a very interesting aspect, but there is another, an additional aspect if you think on the personality of your team members. That's the point. Some people could be, in this democratic leadership style, could be what? Some people could be confused. Some people could be confused and left leaderless. It depends on the characteristics of your subordinates. The task characteristics also and the subordinates characteristics. And then, if you think, then you are in the path-goal theory. Path-goal theory. Path-goal theory is also a very interesting theory. Anybody has heard from path-goal theory? House? You, maybe? And there is a very important fact, or two factors. It is the task characteristics and the subordinates characteristics. And if the subordinates have a big need for structure, for example, then democratic will not work. So it is very complex. Leading is very complex. It is microeconomic, it is your behavior, it is from your employees, the characteristics from your employees, and it is the work context itself, the task characteristics, the subordinates characteristic, and for example, if the subordinates characteristics or they have a high grade of affiliation, some people want to belong to a team, they have high grade of affiliation. Then think on this. So, leading is a complex, a puzzle of behaviors, but always think on the big picture in your company, on the microeconomic picture in your company, on the task structures, on the subordinate structures, and then you can decide, if you are flexible enough, then you can decide what could be work best. Later in our meeting here, we want to discuss roles of leadership, valid roles of leadership. But after the break. But now we have another one. We are not finished. That was one of the best discussions I have had with academic teachers and top executives about these questions. Because this is really what you should overthink and you should never forget in your leadership life. So we have another one. Another one is the pace-setting leadership style. Pace-setting. So, pace-setting leadership style. What is the pace-setting leadership style? What is the expectation? If you are leading with pace-setting, what is your expectation?
Expectation, and everything is so high and set up. Like you expect for yourself, like a leader, but even from your group, high performance is high dedication.
Yes, high performance, yeah, leading a high performance team. But what else? What else if you are going deeper into individual behaviors? The pace setting style expects excellence, you mentioned. And there's another behavior. What are you expecting if you are the pace setter? You are expecting a high grade of self-direction of your employees. If you have employees with a high grade of self-direction and you trust them, then you can do what? What?
You can trust them to develop themselves.
What can you do if you have people with a high competence and a high excellence and a high grade of self-direction and you trust them? What do you do? Yeah, perfect.
You don't control them. You can lead them to do what you think is best.
Control, but the other part of your sentence is okay.
We can concentrate on removing obstacles so we can do that best work.
You can concentrate on removing obstacles, but what is your key leadership behavior?
You just need to set the time frame, like milestones and stuff, but you need the people, the freedom to find their own way to achieve the milestones.
Yes, but the key for me is that you can, in this situation, high trusting, high excellence, people are self-directed, high performance, you can delegate. Delegation. Delegation is an art. To delegate tasks and to delegate power, to delegate responsibility, to delegate something from you is an art. And therefore there are strong requirements. You should think
as a leader, if you are delegating in this situational approach, do you remember where delegating was the best style? And yeah, this was delegation. This was delegation. High motivation, high commitment, high competence, high liking, trusting, confidence. This was here. And so you have the mixture, always, as I mentioned before, pace setting is also a part of giving responsibilities to others in terms of delegation tasks or responsibilities. And this could be what? Delegation. What is delegation? Delegation is for the people which are the delegates, high motivation. Delegation leads to intrinsic motivation. And what else? It leads to empowerment. It leads to thriving the people, and it leads to strong ambassadors. You have to, very important, if you are a leader thinking, I recommend you 360 grades. Thinking 360 grades. That means thinking always on the consequences of your doing, round the corner. If you are a negotiator, a good negotiator, you make negotiations. I have learned in this topic that you have to think always for the next step, round the corner, always for consequences. What I am doing, which consequences? And then think round the corner, and then all, as here, pace setting, delegation, big picture, macroeconomic evaluation, microeconomic needs, microeconomic requirements, employees' characteristics, task characteristics, your flexibility. Yes, that's very difficult. It's very difficult, but this is only the way to come or to receive the outcome you want to have and the outcome the company needs. Pace setting. Then we have a last one, and this is coaching. Coaching. What is coaching? The style focuses on what? If you are thinking on athletics, what are you doing as a coach? What is your focus? You are motivating, but there's another focus. Improving. Constantly improving the skills, abilities of your employees or athletes in your team. That's the focus on personal development. Do you want to say something?
So, by improving and praising and also correcting action?
Yeah, of course. Not only, no, praising is an art. Praising is an art. You cannot praise for everything and all and for nothing. Very good, but it was all failure and it was trash. No, you have to be honest. Praising is only valid if it comes honestly. And if it refers to an activity. And an activity which has been really good and bringing the company into the right way, or is any big contribution. But you should praise. Some leaders do not praise. They receive very good performance, but they do not praise. And that's also not a very good leadership style. You should praise, but only honestly, and only in reference to any activities. Praising for nothing is nothing.
It's also about initiating feedback loop with learning processes, so allowing the employee to get into the next level.
Yeah, of course. So, coaching. Coaching leaders help people identify their strengths and identify their weaknesses in the framework of having the opportunity, developing the abilities and skills in the right direction, improving constantly.
To summarize it, the last one, feedback later
Coaching?
Yeah.
Feedback is important.
Yeah.
If you are a coach,
praise or correction.
Yeah, feedback. Praising is a feedback. Correction is also a feedback. And feedback is in coaching very important. You have to listen your athletes or your employees. How is the situation?
And how exactly do they do that? They use tools such as SWOT analysis, for instance?
For example, yes. You can, but you can also you can speak with the people in an evaluation meeting. For example, you can set meetings. There are schedules and there are evaluation sheets. Every company has an evaluation sheet. I think if you have done an internship, there is an evaluation. And every employee which is hired in the company has after 6 months an evaluation. This is a meeting between the top executive and HR people and you as the employee, and together there will be an evaluation of your performance, your integrity, your personal behavior, your reaching your goals and all these things, and your behavior for customers, and so all these factors of your work will be evaluated. And then at the end there can be a praise, there can be more salary, or for example, or more responsibility, or going abroad, or having any professional educational course or something, or incentives, what he said. So all these are factors, but praising, honest praising, which depends on performance, is important. And no praising, I cannot recommend. Okay, have a good lunch, and we see in 1 hour. Question we want to discuss now is what makes a leader successful? Is it the IQ? Is it knowledge? Is it experience? Is it educational background? Should you come from any best university of the world, or is it enough if you come from a medium university? Is it your connection? Is it networking? Or is it another factor? Or is it another factor? Or is it another behavior? And what do you think? What makes the difference between a really great leader and a good leader? What makes the difference? What can you imagine? What could be the difference? What do you think? How is the difference in the way of influencing your followers? What is the maybe more successful than other ways? What do you think?
I would actually argue that you don't need one specific but you need a combination of all the things you mentioned. But I'm not sure if you really need the university with the best rank or the best name. You could even make, like, in the German system, an Ausbildung, and like all these old board members. If you think of like Caterpillar, there's like a board member which is Maschinenschlosser. and you can be a leader as well. So I would definitely argue with that, but all the other things should be in there, and the best combination will make the best leader probably.
Yes, very interesting, and you are right. It must not be maybe the best university. It is, there are other factors, and researchers have found out other factors. There is a big discussion between so-called transactional leadership and transformational leadership, and we have the transactional leadership and we have the transformational leadership, and there is a big difference. And transformational leadership or transactional leadership is based only on the exchange between the leader and follower in terms of money for performance. Money for performance. That's transactional in a very short sentence. And there is another way of influencing the followers, and this is the transformational way of influencing followers, and this transformational way is the way through emotional arousal or enthusiasm and heart, and so authentic behavior, inspirational thinking, and all these factors. And therefore we have here one research topic in leadership. It is authentic leadership, and the other one is very, very interesting, and this is the interdisciplinary one. I mentioned it before. It is the leadership with emotional intelligence. So now we want to discuss about these two leadership approaches, behaviors. And first of all, what is the focus of the authentic leadership? The focus is that your leadership is genuine, and your leadership is real, and your leadership is not a copy. That's you. Genuine, real, original, authentic, not a copy. There is an intrapersonal definition and is an interpersonal definition. And the intrapersonal definition means that you are leading from conviction, your convictions, and that your leading or leadership is based on values. Value-based leading. And there is an intrapersonal definition from authentic leadership, and then we come to some factors of authentic leadership. And the interpersonal definition means the connection between leaders and followers as an emotional process. Not only a process, and what we had in the beginning, an emotional process, and the leader can create change, leading change, very important, when the followers are committed. When the followers are committed and when the leader is accepted by the followers. And there is a developmental definition of authentic leadership, and that is that your leadership behavior can be triggered by your personal life events, career experience, career events, good or bad. That all these factors are your surrounding and your environment for your leadership behavior. Here. Leadership, authentic, creational, relational, and is created are leaders and followers together. Not one-way dialogue or one-way communication, is vice versa communication, a two-way communication. So now, what else can we learn? There are some components that are forming authentic leadership behavior. And these components are, for example, which one? What do you think? Psychological components are, for example, self-awareness. Self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is very important in leading. This is a process for what? Very, very, very important for leading. For leading practice. I practice this by myself daily.
But in the end it's learning.
Pardon?
In the end it's learning, a learning process. So you be able to reflect on yourself and your behavior, and you know what your subordinates or like your team thinks of you as a leader.
Reflecting yourself is very interesting. Reflecting yourself, and you have
how you promote yourself to the outside. So be aware of.
yes, but okay, promoting yourself, okay, but evaluating yourself. You have some.
And you have to know your values so that you consistently can stand for them. So you have a consistent, sustainable behavior that is transparent for your employees. So you're not like today I say we have to be economical and then we are like welfare. So there's a consistent, well, there's a vision.
What is this? What is the? Yes. What is the well-known? What is the message for consistence? How do you call it? There is one message in the USA. They have one sentence for this. Walk the talk. Walk the talk. That's true. Walk the talk. Don't forget it. Walk the talk. Your followers will appreciate it. This is very simple and very true. Walk the talk. So, yes, self-awareness is the process in which individuals understand themselves. Personal insights of the leader. His or her personal insights. And these are the personal insights. These are the personal insights about strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses of the leader and his or her personal emotions, goals, and these factors. And to know how your behavior affects others. To have a sensitive mindset. Sensitive mindset. That's very important in daily, or if you want to be successful in daily leadership. Self-awareness. Then there is another one, another factor that component that forms authentic leadership. It is the internalized moral perspective. Internalized moral perspective. And this is the using of your moral learned standards and values more than outside pressures. Really your own values, own standards, your own ethical behavior standards. And there is a balanced processing, component number 3, balanced processing. That means that you are able to analyze information in an objective way. Analyze information in an objective way. And then the component number 4 is the
relational transparency. Relational transparency. Transparency. Relational transparency, that means that you should be being open and honest, in presenting your own truth to other people. Honesty, integrity, and another behavior, share your feelings to others. You can share your feelings with others. This helps a lot in your relationship between your subordinates and you as the leader, and it's not only in business, also in private life it works. Not only in business life, this is also something for your private life, if you can adapt these styles. So, 4 components: self-awareness, then we have internalized moral perspective, and relational transparency, and behavior for a balanced processing. Now, we want to come to another factor.
What was the last one?
Relational transparency. Relational transparency. So another one is there are some factors that influence authentic leadership, and these factors are, for example, your psychological capacities, your positive psychological capacities. In the emotional intelligence approach, you call this so-called PEA and the NEA. This is from emotional intelligence. It depends a little bit together, emotional intelligence and authentic leadership. It's not the same, but it is developing, and you should see these factors together. PEA means, in this case, positive emotional attractors. NEA means negative emotional attractors. And for the authentic leadership theory, these are the positive psychological capacities. Which are positive psychological capacities? What do you think? Positive psychological capacities. Very important. For daily life also. Like leader is a human being, is in business and also in private.
Being
Yes, optimism. Optimism is very important. Optimism. If you are walking through the world with big pessimistic behaviors, I think you have problems. I think you have a problem to be a leader. Maybe you can be a leader for a short time, but then I think it's too much for me. Please?
Openness is also very important.
Openness. Yes, openness, very good, and agreeableness.
Yeah.
Agreeableness. It's also a very big factor. It's one of the big personality factors they have found out in the great man theory, but in the developments of the great man theory. And this is a factor which is valid until today. Agreeableness. Extraversion. The ability to extraversion behavior. Absolutely important. And for me, one of the most important is that you love people. You cannot lead, in my opinion, if you do not love people. Not possible. Over the long run. Maybe shortly, okay, but if you want to be really successful, I think. Steve Jobs, why?
He was described like an asshole. He was not nice to people, and I really felt he loved his design and his innovation stuff. He does not love people.
But if I have heard the last speech of him at the Stanford University, maybe someone has heard it, the last speech of him at his graduation. He never studied at any university, but in Stanford later, shortly before he has died, there was a big speech. And I thought in this speech, I have heard that in the end, he was a friend of people, but he wanted to show the people the right way. Maybe in an authoritative style, or in a coercive style. That should be the package. But I think he wanted to reach the right way and was only, and was, I think so, he was loving people. You have heard it in the end, in the last speech. Good result or bad result? He can change. Very good result. Triggered by life events. Triggered by life events. What you have in the authentic leadership career experience over the long run. So, it's the chance to be changing. Leading your own change is also change, and leading to 4.0 in our economy is also change.
But I also know this perception that every leader loves people or has to love people. They are also dictators or leaders, and or maybe also successful in their approach. But so I know this thing that, of course, it is something from a normative perspective. It should be
I think
that
so.
way. Of course,
It makes it for you easier. It makes it easier. Maybe you are right. Absolutely. Not everybody thinks that's
necessarily so that everyone loves.
Not everybody, but I recommend. It's my opinion.
Okay, yeah.
I recommend, in my opinion, and in my leadership, and I have a long time leadership and long experience in leadership. I see, okay, I have seen people which don't love other people, which are, but they was not happy. They have not been happy with it. It's my opinion in this case.
Perhaps they are not happy, but they are successful.
Maybe, okay, maybe it can be, but in my opinion, I recommend, I think it's a better way. And you will see it here, positive emotional attractors. You can live there. So now, positive psychological capacities. We have another factor that influences authentic leadership. It is moral reasoning. Moral reasoning, and moral reasoning is the capacity to make what? That's very important for leading. The capacity to make what? Moral reasoning. It's very important to be also accepted. To make ethical decisions. Make ethical decisions. It's a big discussion, ethical, unethical, bribery, and all these things. Big, but the better way is, and this is the way, which is the modern way, which all the researchers are teaching, and the findings are ethical. Ethical leadership is the future. And, of course, I mentioned it before, these are your critical life events. This forms also your authentic, that's your original, not copy leadership. So, these are factors that influence authentic leadership. And if we are asking the question, how does the authentic leadership approach works in general, in the big picture, then you have 5 characteristics, or the researchers found 5 characteristics, Balumba and other researchers, which should you, or which are recommended to develop to be an authentic leader. And these 5 characteristics are, for example, number 1, purposeful. Purposeful. There is a leadership approach, also a very modern leadership approach,
from Hickman, and it is called invisible leadership. Invisible leadership. You can read it. Invisible leadership. And invisible leadership belongs very strong to purpose. Leading over a purpose. It's not so easy. But if you are going into athletics and in sport, you have often leading with purpose. One characteristic. Another characteristic is value centering. That you are value centered. Value centered. And of course, relational. You are able to build relationships. Relational. Number 3, relational. Relational. And number 4 is, and that's also for private life important, that you have self-discipline. Self-discipline. Self-disciplined. Self-disciplined. And the 5th characteristic is that you are compassionate. These are 5 characteristics the researchers, George in 2003, Valumba later, found out, and Goldman found out for authentic leadership. And emotional intelligence leadership has some key factors more. It's a little bit more complex than this. And at the end, authentic leadership has the focus on development of qualities, leaders' qualities that help the leader to be perceived as trustworthy, as also believable. So now these are factors, components that builds authentic leadership. Now we want to go into a case. A case about authentic leadership, a very interesting case. And the case is called A Leader Under Fire. And I have here some cases. You are building groups, sitting together, and please only the question 1, 3, and 4. Question number 2 we don't need. 1, 3, and 4. You are looking for the team members. You can elect the team members by yourself. I think here maybe so this part, and I give you also here, maybe you make this part behind you. You can collect together. Here and here is another one. You can collect your colleagues here together. I give you also one. I give you also one. You can here working together with. And you can go out if you want on the tables, and then you can discuss. And you have time until 2:25. 2:25, then we are going into the discussion of your answers. Hier, hier arbeiten Sie schon. So, showtime. Stop.
group number one, I think you have been in group number one. Please, you can elect 2 people, which bring us here on the leadership platform. The answer. Please, 2 people from the group number one. Who wants to come? Who wants to go? Who wants to go to the platform? Please, 2 people, maybe. 2 different aspects? Okay, so then but this is for the answer number 1. Answer number 1. For the answer number 1. They don't agree. Yes, if I don't agree, then you can discuss. Then you can discuss. So, please here, come here. This is your auditorium. This is the leadership platform. And so, we have a question. Question number 1. So, it's your auditorium, please.
Okay. First, we have a text about this entrepreneur, and the first thing that comes to mind when we read it is that we don't have enough information. We don't know where this text came from. We don't know who wrote it, when, and what was the ending of the story. So based on that we don't have enough information, is that everybody's innocent until proved guilty. I'm going to say that he's not guilty of the accusations, and therefore we can judge his goals and what he did for what we're seeing here. Opening many schools in a forgotten part of the world. That's the beginning of my case.
So he's saying he's authentic. That's your conclusion, basically. And I don't think so, actually, because we came up with some discussion.
What is your group? You all not think, or you just didn't think that he?
Well, so there were different opinions in our group. We're just presenting different opinions. And so the aspect was there that we tried to check our list that we had about authentic leaders, and then the point came up, well, do we need to have all aspects fulfilled to have an authentic leader? And at first we said yes, but then we decided on no. But we came back to that topic later when we had the question if we can trust a person who, if you can trust a person again when they were guilty. So then we said at this point at least needs to be fulfilled to be an authentic leader. So, that's why some people in our group said in the end, no, he can't be authentic because there was some evidence based on which he is sued at the moment, on which this lawsuit is based, and that's why the normal people can't trust him anymore and can't follow him as an authentic leader. And so we decided that it's not an authentic leader.
If I may just add one thing, we had as one of the questions about being an authentic leader was internalized moral consistency. That means moral values having more value than external pressure. And I think that although Greg didn't defend himself properly, I think he had reasons for that, about his sickness and everything. He was still working in his charity, he was still doing his job, and that means that he would rather keep doing what he was doing, what he was authentic for doing, than fighting allegations that could or could not be true. So he followed through what he taught, and in the end, you can see in the last paragraph that the people in the company were still believing in him. So he was a leader good enough to sail that storm, and in the end, people would still believe him. If that is not authentic, prove me wrong.
The point is that only your company people follow him, but not the rest of the people, not the people who wanted to spend money for the NGO, and yeah, that's why I still think he's not authentic enough.
Remarks and contributions, please. So you say because of the sickness he couldn't defend himself properly, but Steve Jobs was fighting against cancer, and he was introducing a new iPhone. I think that's why. So sickness cannot be shown as an excuse not defending himself. Besides, he admits on his Bachelor that he has done something 18 years ago. So we can judge he's not 100% innocent.
He didn't say.
We might think that he's
No, he did say that most of the accusations were based on something made 18 years ago, and that it was really hard to know what really was white and black back then. If he said 16 schools or 17 schools, something like that. And about the sickness, Louis Armstrong, after cancer, he won, 3-4 Tours de France. I don't see me going to Krebskrankenhausen and just picking people up and say, let's run, let's get some prizes. People deal with diseases in different ways. And another thing, aneurysms are not operable. They don't get cured like cancer. Honors normally is like a time bomb, the one that explodes. So that after getting a news like that, it's like saying like your life's gonna be over, we just don't know how much time you have. I think I would be more worried about securing my legacy than defending it for a couple of journalists.
Any more remarks, contributions, or questions from the auditorium, please? Feel free. Here.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, I mean, these guys know that my point because they were in my group. I just want to say that it's really difficult to have this black and white view of what is authentic and what not. I'm in general against this sort of taking points on the list and saying if this is authentic and this is not authentic. I think it, in general, doesn't make much sense.
Okay. Any more contributions, remarks, constructive critics to the answers? Okay, then, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we come to question number 3, and I recommend the next group, maybe here, and you can find out who will come to the leadership platform. Who will come to the leadership platform? Two persons are... It's our pleasure to have you as a platform. Who comes? You? Maybe with different opinions. Maybe with different opinions. Come and leadership platform. So, okay. It's your auditorium.
Can we refer for a second to the first question? They
Of course,
refer to all questions.
the question next.
Okay, so you guys concluded he was not authentic leadership? Mostly.
Yeah, no.
Because like, we also had discussion of that, was he or not, and like, what if we go step by step? No, I'm referring to what you wrote. Okay, so if we refer to this, he was purposeful. He had, well, he centered. He was. He brought the schools to Pakistan way more massive, especially to the females. That's pretty. Then he was relation. He had that relation, strong relation with CAI, and worked with them through all that, because he alone wouldn't be able to figure it out what he did. And self-discipline, like you said, we don't have enough information on that, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And he was compassionate, definitely.
That is completely right, but if we take the extended list, we also had what you said, this moral reasoning, the ability to make ethical decisions. And if you come to that point,
We answered first question, and then we answered the next question.
So I want to come back and answer question 2.
Now we're talking about the question number 3. I was just going to refer a little bit on that. And we, at the beginning point, find it very authentic. But then, we want to say how also like because of more what he was going to bring back on.
Well, yeah, because we found out in that was contradicting. Yeah. So then it was difficult to be black and white, as you already referred. So it was like, okay, was he now an authentic leader? We would say to some extent, yes, but fully,
No, he kind of faded away later, because like you said, he didn't stand up for himself. And of course, if on the first bad sign toward him, he quits or move away, nobody's gonna follow him. Like, nobody of us would be strong enough to follow that leader now if he was just like that for one article, or not article, one show. He quit on all his strategy, on all his idea, basically, whatever the behind reasoning was, but he was not pushing it forward as strong as before. So definitely that all him being authentic in the first question kind of faded away and kind of resolved.
And that's why we came to the conclusion that yes, somehow he was a leader and to some extent an authentic leader, but clearly he showed weakness in the sense of that he didn't basically stood up to what he was doing in the end, to share, to be honest, to be open, and that's, and as we already discussed earlier on, those are very, very important traits for a leader, and he didn't do that. So
yeah, when our groupmate had said already that he was not enough transparent, and one of the key point here was that once you're authentic leader, everything is out there, everything is open, all your followers kind of know what you're planning, where you're going with it, and he was not open that much, because later on in the text we find out some other missions that he had where he involved the money that not everybody knew. So again, when this whole scandal came across, they could take it on the wrong way and actually accuse him, because if they knew all this action before, that probably wouldn't be such a big impact on whatever he was doing. So, will that answer your question?
Okay, so, thank you very much. One moment, first. And then, are there any remarks, questions, or contributions, constructive critics?
Just about the last point of the transparency, the text says that after this scandal begins, the CAI starts publishing all their tax returns, so they try to show as much transparency as a company can actually do. And what we said was about being an authentic leader, will be transparent to your followers, not exactly to the media or to outside people. So the fact that he wasn't able or wasn't willing to give an interview doesn't mean that he wasn't an authentic leader for the people in CAI.
Yeah, definitely agree, but I think maybe you did not understand. It didn't mean to be transparent to the media, but I don't think even that his followers know for each of these actions that we later find out of. Go.
About the transparency, I guess the problem is that they were not transparent all the time, but only when there were scandals coming up, they became transparent, but not because of their own willingness to communicate, but to defend. And
that's where he kind of failed in being authentic.
exactly, but then also again with the positive outcomes, with later on with the whole list of schools that they actually did help and everything. I mean, then the question is why did a leader who believed in what he's doing did not share positive outcomes with the followers? Anyway, that's already, I mean, that's a big question.
Okay.
Can I add something?
First.
Yeah.
Okay, you first.
I guess, I don't know if any one of you has any experience with NGOs in Afghanistan or in Asia. Especially in NGOs, a lot of money gets lost somehow, somewhere. Especially if you want to build up schools and a lot of money. I remember a case from the Adnan Foundation where my boss was flying over to Myanmar with $100,000 in her bag, and she had to pay like a lot of NGO members cash. So 50,000 each.
The problem in Myanmar, you are not allowed to get money from the ATM.
Yeah, and
it's illegal getting money.
Yeah, but Afghanistan could be quite hard as well. So a lot of money is going elsewhere, and so you can't be transparent to all of it. Just mean it.
But transparency here means I built more than 100 hospitals. Why not uploading at least one picture of the hospital?
That's true.
It means that you don't have to for an interview or whatever. Just uploading and taking some picture. You built more than 100 hospitals. This is transparency.
Yeah, that's true.
It's and what really matters.
Okay, so thank you very much. Great. Now we're going to come to the third and the fourth question. Please, to come into our leadership platform. Please, this is Okay, question number 4.
Okay, so in general, we concluded that his authenticity got damaged extremely hard for the future. I mean, we have the speakers before who said we weren't actually sure if he's authentic or not. And now we had the last questions of the debate. Did this affect the authenticity of him or not? And we thought that he should have denied all the accusations against him. I mean, if someone insults what I'm doing for over 10 years, what I'm working on, what my life is about, I think I would stay up and say, no, this is not wrong, you have our own investigations, internal investigations, and we'll try to fix that. But he stayed quiet and listened to his legal advisors to not say anything. And I don't know if this is real authentic. If someone insults the thing that is most important to me, I couldn't just sit there and say, okay, they said, no, don't do that. That is not me. I think he lost a lot of authenticity in there, and yeah, I tried to regain authenticity by giving public speeches, to inform the people, to show transparency with all the tax returns and all that. But for the future, I think his authenticity is damaged very hard, and it's going to be hard to reestablish the business. That's our conclusion.
Okay, thank you very much.
We thought even more important is the loss of credibility because of the accusations made by the attorney and the news. Yeah, his credibility was lost somehow, and as we can see from very prominent examples in Germany, that even if you're accused of doing something, even if the charges are not true in the end, credibility is lost. So it doesn't matter if you really build the schools or not, just because of the articles, because of the charges, which could be dropped in the end, his credibility is lost. So, and this leads back to his authenticity then, and yeah, that's the main problem.
Okay. First, now questions?
Yeah, you got the right point there. And there's a book online, short online book, VProf of the state. So it should be full of evidence and full of accusations. So yeah, he should have at least denied these charges against him, since it's his life work and all of his life is being accused of, not just CA.
Thank you for the comment. Any other questions, remarks, constructive critics? So, thank you so much. And now, thank you so much. We are ending here because for me, really pleasure. Very good dialogues, very challenging discussions, and great energy and motivation. And so it was really.
You can it really be 100% authentic, or people that the public asks, can somebody really take all the boxes?
No. There is a discussion, a very new discussion about authentic leadership, and maybe we can take it the next time. There is a paradoxon in authenticity. And the paradoxon in authenticity means that in the pure authentic leadership, there is no development of your personal role. And the personal role of you can develop. And you can make new experiences. And the totally authenticity, like looking like a glass to the leader, is not recommended. And there are new findings and new research from 2015, and you can take a look into Harvard Business Reviews, and there's a big discussion running at the moment about the paradoxon of authenticity. So, then, here we are ending. Thank you so much. You have been a really great and, for me, exciting group. Thank you so much. And all